Okay, here we are in the losers final of the Alpha Navigators Cup number 24 between Aftermath Theory in the blue Infernal and his opponent msrm in the red Infernal. And maybe one thing I'll comment as this game's getting started, Theory has won a number. Let's see, I've got it up on my screen here. Twice he has won the Alpha Navigators Cup in Season 2. And Snockstar has won 3 times. But msrm has come close, getting second a number of times, but has not yet won. And is in the losers final facing off against Theory. And I think they've had this losers final a couple times before. And I also think that when they have had this losers final a couple times before, it's gone either way. So I really think Theory and msrm are quite well matched, as well as Snockstar. In fact, I think all 3 of them are among the best Infernals in the world. See some Fiends here trying to take out the Hexen of msrm, but she manages to hokey pokey her way all the way back home. And Theory's Hexen is, where are you going? Straight for the speed camp. Now, I didn't actually check the build order here, but it looks like this was Shrine first again out of msrm. And Theory maybe was watching the stream while this was on and knew that this was the build order that msrm has been using in all his games. Has come for some early aggression with his 2 Fiends, and we see the Hexen go down. And actually these, oh my goodness, the other Hexen splittity splattered. She got splattered right there, unfortunately. So that was Hexen on Hexen violence for sure. And no one won in that Hexen on Hexen battle. Both Hexens going down. It's just a vault here out of Theory, and his lumber imps went and chopped down the trees over here. So this base a little bit slower getting up than msrm's. And it's not clear in that trade of Hexen for Hexen plus a couple Fiends, I think, on Theory's side, if that, if that's going to make a really big difference in this early game. Some Gaunts trying to solo creep these Mastiffs without the help of a Hexen. This slows down the creeping ever so much. And some really good micro out of msrm here. Ooh, oh, very good micro. And then eats the cabbage with a weak one and heads over to capture the speed camp. And we have a single brute here. Okay, so some kind of creeping happened up here. There must have been some Fiends, maybe some split brutes. Oh, and not very good micro there, losing all those Fiends. And not actually getting a lot of kills on the Shadow Masters. Maybe going to lose the brute too, but now microing the brute. So far, this opening, I think, has kind of favored msrm. The early rush from Theory was foiled, and then slightly more creeping losses being taken by Theory, it looks like. And that's partly due to the choice of tech. Gaunts are just a little bit easier to creep with. I think maybe even more so now that there's been some changes to Brutes and Fiends. And I think that's just due to the fact that they're ranged and can be micro just a little bit easier as a result of that. Okay, so the vision camp being taken now too. It's starting to look like msrm's getting a little bit of a lead in the creeping cycle, which is interesting given his opening was Shrine first. And a bunch more Gaunts. So now it looks like that econ from msrm is kicking in. We already have the Ritual Chamber down. We have the Twilight Spire coming right up. And this is that same build he's been showcasing all day, which is maybe some Gaunt drops. He's got some Brutes here to do some tanking. And I saw some interesting comments on some of these creep camps today, especially maybe in the earlier tiers, that when you're creeping a tough camp like this, you're bound to lose some units. We see how much blood is left over from that battle. And so the income that you often are getting from that is really just offsetting some of the units that you're losing. Now, the better you can micro your units and not lose them, the more that income is not just going to offset lost units. Of course, if you lose way too many units, now the income isn't even going to offset it. So it's something to think about when you're choosing which camp to take out. We see this Harbinger now loaded up with the Gaunts. And this is the play for msrm. And I think, oh, again, it's hard to see. No reaction from TheoRy, so that indicates to me that maybe he didn't see it. And msrm knows the route to take. He flew over the high ground cliffs there to avoid detection and goes right in here on top of the Therium mining imps, getting one immediately. It's the second and third going down, and then just being lifted up, and the fiends being redirected to fight the Gaunts, or sorry, the imps. And now some Gaunts popping out, becoming target fired by msrm. It's got some really good micro on that. More fiends popping out as a result. And the Gaunts being picked up by the Harbinger. The fiends turning to fight, and again dropping them right on top of the Gaunts. It's just really good micro, keeping them safe until they're in a good position. And now we see a Manifest Shroudstone going down, but so much damage done so far by this drop. Again, dropping on top of an imp that's just walking by, as well as trying to take out some more Gaunts that are just maybe misrallied. But there are fiends here. One got... Okay, I think they all got away. No, it looks like maybe 2 Gaunts went down. At least judging by, yeah, by how many are in the Harbinger. Now, TheoRy has also lumberjacked these trees. I think that's just preemptive to take a double Therium base up here. Now, it's interesting. On the first pass by, msrm did not drop here. There were no imps. Now there are 3 imps. He can get some damage. He takes out the 1 imp and he's gone. There's a fiend in there now. Picked up the fiend. The 2... Okay, so what happened there are the 2 imps trying to save their lives turned into farms, and then once realizing they were safe, they canceled the farms. Still moving around this Harbinger, and TheoRy's doing his best to keep his unit sort of tracked onto it so that that when it lands it can't do, you know, as much damage as msrm would hope. It already did some pretty good damage with those initial drops into the main. And now going back, okay, so this imp line, now is that a Shroudstone? Yeah, so it's good, but it's just not going to be up in time because here comes the drop. Really good reaction time from TheoRy. Pulling his imps away, 1 dying, another 1 dying. I like how he microed 1 imp back. I think he was maybe going for a flame imp. That's a very classic TheoRy style. But it also caused the Gaunts to stop following the pack of imps, and that meant that they were going to be less likely to get another one. So 1 would be sacrificed to save the rest. Shadow Flyers now trying to take out the Harbinger. There's only 2 of them, and one of them's just a little bit derpy, not sure where it's trying to get to. And the Harbinger lands on the ground, dropping off the imps, or the Gaunts, sorry, and picking up the 2 mags. At least I think those were mags. Let's go check it out. Yeah, 2 mags. A Nightfall infestation going down to zone, and now the mags landing in the back with huge tramples going through, killing so many Gaunts. Oh my god, so many Gaunts, brutes, and fiends going down there. However, msrm's Gaunts are not fighting on Shroud. They're off Shroud, with meaning no infest, no fiends popping, but nonetheless, these Trample did such a good job. We now see the Harbinger picking up the Gaunts. It's only these mags fighting, and they get surrounded and taken out, and now the Harbinger is going to try and fly away, and we see it does indeed get taken out by the Shroudstone Manifest. So actually really good play there by TheoRy to clean up that army. And msrm back home is rebuilding his own army. Mostly Mags. It's interesting to see no Weavers. This matchup last patch was quite dominated by Gaunt Weaver. I mean, other builds were in there, but that was a very common one. And now it's sort of reverting back to an earlier builds composition, which is Mags. And I, for one, like that. I love Mags. I think they're one of the coolest looking and fun to use unit, even though they're not always as effective as you want them to be. So this matchup, they can be quite effective. And one thing that they're great for, they're the best unit in the game for taking down trees in my opinion. And the reason for that is because, well, they're just fun. It just feels fun when you do it, but they can just walk through and trample them down, as we see there. The only thing that's maybe the problem with them is their pathing through trees is a little bit wonky. If they fix that, they're just going to be fun. And I hope someone builds a custom game for me that's just, you know, here's your mag, go stomp down as many trees in like 30 seconds as you want, or I don't know, something like that. I would play that custom game all the time. So a lot of mags being added. So there was a period in the last patch where the meta would become, well, get one mag. You get one mag to kind of do for zoning, because often you're going to try and split your units and run away from the mags. But now we're back to more mag heavy, and these mags are just going to push right through to the front line. They're going to stop at the front line, which I think is a good move, taking out a lot of brutes, fiends, and gods, and now they're just sitting on the front line doing that damage. We do see finally a Weaver on the map, and it did manage to lash one of those Magmadons down, and then the Magmadons, with the second charge of their trample getting through, focusing. They did catch one of these Hellborns in the back here, and msrm's forces is looking pretty strong. Although, if he wants to continue here, he has to push through this choke into the static D. And decides maybe to retreat and suggests his team heads this way. A great suggestion for his team, because his team is just himself. Stealing this Therium camp while also maybe in retreat here. Interestingly rallied mag, just going for a tour around. And taking the Luminite camps as well. Fiends running here to chase away this fiend, or kill this fiend, I should say. These fiends are scouting out maps, or scouting out bases. And there is a hidden base down here for TheoRy, which didn't get scouted by msrm when he pushed down there and tried to do some damage. So msrm's going to take out this camp as well, and now is in control of both Therium and both Luminite camps, which is a strong advantage. TheoRy, of course, knows that and is trying to deny it a bit, recapture this camp. And the fiends that were camped out here on this potential fourth base cleaned up, and now we do see that fourth base instead going down here. I call this a hidden base for TheoRy because it is kind of out of the way, but it's not necessarily it's not why they necessarily build it there. I think this base is just better. There's two Therium, there's a Luminite. This base only has a single Luminite. It used to have a Therium on the older version of this map, but this version of the map is much better. In my opinion, at least. I think that's maybe broadly somewhat accepted. Okay, so this game has sort of repositioned as a bit of a macro game where the armies are out on the map trying to gain advantage, gaining some map advantage by capturing some of these camps. See an interesting interaction here where the Shadow Flyer has captured the camp. The Fiends can't capture it back. I think Theory is putting up this D here in response to the fact that these fiends are on this side of the map. We see him also sending his units over here, but not actually... Okay, like, why did they march all the way over here if not to try and clean up these fiends? And now the fiend's getting zoned. And, oh, they're interesting. I didn't even know you could go back here. Very cool. Very, very cool. Meanwhile, Theory's going to move his army into the middle of the map, where we do have some buildings, some production going down. And they're going to start... Ooh, Flame Imps. Oh, nice impacts by Flame Imps. Managing to kill some Gaunts. And I love this. Pumping out some Hellborn. Unfortunately, just a little bit too close to the front line, and a couple of them getting lashed in by the Weavers. But a ton of Hellborn in the back for MSRM, raining down fireballs, Molten Touch fireballs on all these units. Now, Theory's trying to get in retreat, but his Weaver heavy army is a little bit slow. They're trying to teleport out of there. One of them gets taken down before it gets away. But now it looks like, well, the dragon has arrived. These trampling mags are pushing the army away. The Hellborn turned, Molten Touch on the side of Theory now as well. But there's just more stuff for MSRM. Another couple Weavers being added. Shadow Flyers as well. Fiends kind of running down in a train. That's sort of a weird formation for them to be running in. Maybe just getting sacrificed for supply. It's not exactly clear what that was about. In Theory, moving his army out over here. Okay, it looks like it's maybe for creeping purposes. Trying to regain the advantage of the healing camp. And of course, one benefit, not only is the money that you get rewarded from the creeps increased, but so is the buff that you get from the camp. So every time you capture it, you recapture it, you get a better buff. That's a lot of Hellborns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Hellborns. That's pretty crazy. And a pretty good pre-split by MSRM to get his units kind of into a better concave. Now, a lot of his initial Gaunts were tanking there, and they had to face off against the whole brunt of this army. And a lot of Shadow Flyers there. It looks like MSRM is going to try and retreat. He has a ton of Hellborn here that just turn and fight, and oh no, they're being overwhelmed by Fiends. A single low mag tries to get in here, another mag with some Gaunts, so it looks like MSRM is turned to try and fight here. But yeah, these units they're going down, and they are down. More units misrallied, I think. They're on move command. That one mag does turn and trample, does a pretty good job against those Fiends, but actually does get away. Low health, but convenient. There's just so many Hellborn here. I said that before when there was 9 on the side of MSRM, but now it looks like there's maybe as many as 12 for Theory. And as he attacks into MSRM's army, yeah, these units... Oh, there's a nice trample going through, but that's just going to be a GG from MSRM. Alright, here we are in game 2 with Aftermath Theory. Victor of that last game with a vault opening. And his opponent MSRM in the Red Infernal opening Conclave. Interesting choice of position for that Conclave. See how that factors in. Maybe that Conclave is just out of it. If you kind of loop up here, maybe you miss it when you come up. So we'll see. But MSRM's Hexen has scouted in the wrong direction, but so has Theories. And let's see here. How much vision did he get here? Out to about there. Yeah, that might be just out of vision. We'll see. But it looks like no Hexen's going to be visiting today, as this Hexen's already on the way back home. And this Hexen has decided to continue scouting. They both scouted in the wrong direction. So neither of them really getting that scouting information to start out. I think msrm is going to be just a little bit better on the scout by the process of elimination. He will see, okay, there is no shroud. So just getting to the top of the map to look for shroud, the top of the ramp I should say. And now teleporting home. And it was a shrine follow-up for msrm, while it is a... Wait, I think the vault was first, and then the conclave on the high ground was second. If I remember the order properly. An interesting choice here. TheoRy has put the farm at the vision camp. Oh, I thought he was going to go for vision first, but instead goes for this camp. Okay, I was like, what happened there? So TheoRy had creeped his own camp up to his health camp to the north, but it just got recaptured by a skull. Now he's creeping out the speed camp. A little bit of micro trying to keep these units alive. One gaunt going down, and manual split on the brute. And this camp gets taken. Is it going to send another unit? So yeah, here comes some gaunts to reclaim the health camp. What's going on here? So there's an imp. The imp lumberjack is TheoRy's imp. And he cut down these trees already. So TheoRy's planning for a little bit of backdoor aggression to try and maybe finish off this series. But for the meantime, he will use that farm he put out here to try and take out the vision camp. And msrm focused on eco. And we've seen this build a little bit out of him already tonight. Went with the shrine, early shrine, in this case not shrine first. But staying at home, not creeping as much, and just trying to get imps up. And one imp dying, unfortunately. So that's going to be a price to pay for this eco build. And the hogs engage the army, and they get a little bit of DPS before going down. And now these units are on top of the mag, pops out right at the right time. And despite getting the Nightfall infestation, actually it's not clear whose Nightfall that was. I think that might have been msrm's. We now see that these units are going to clean up. Only one fiend lives to tell the tale, running away. There's an FG on the high ground here that could be taken out. Could be, or you could just leave it. Just leave it. And now these units from TheoRy are going to come in the back door. And msrm's a little bit out of position trying to creep this. But there's just not a lot. You got Plague Axes? Yeah, so this is a little bit of a Plague Axe timing. Is there a Ritual Chamber yet? No, we do see a Twilight Spire though. The Plague Axe timing incoming. You gonna wait for 2 more gaunts? Maybe not. Ooh, there's a Shroud Stone already up here. We're going to get a little Focus Fire on the Shroud Stone, but that's going to be enough time for... I thought these imps were going to retreat to the low ground, but no, they're just going to head to the Therium patch. And the Shroud Stone did push TheoRy away as the units started to arrive. But some good damage done to the Shroud Stone, and the imps sent back to mining. It looks like TheoRy's going to give up on that aggressive start and turn to doing some creeping. And msrm still light on the creeping, having creeped this camp but nothing else. Has instead loaded up a... Okay, that did look a little weird to me. It's a mag and 3 gaunts. And TheoRy's just now putting down a shrine here at almost 6 minutes. That seems pretty late. Here comes a drop. On top of a gaunt. Killing 1 gaunt. No Plague Axes. No Plague Axes in this drop. This is a mag drop with a couple gaunts in the back. A Nightfall infestation on top of the imps. Ooh, wow, that was cool. The mag was still trampling inside the... Or it was still trampling when it came out again, so it must have been trampling on the inside. And not quite the damage that msrm had hoped. He had to reload up his dropship and retreat, and now he, yeah, good control to put it back up to the high ground, and instead decide, let's teleport home. Okay, so moving back out, dropship in the lead, dropping down these units, and here we go. Looks like energy camp, creeping time. Meanwhile, TheoRy's going to try and move his units around. Looks like some more. Oh, okay. Just positioning for this creep camp as well. And a ton of Gaunts staying back home. They have their Plague Axes, no Reaper's Rush, and that's just, of course, defense for this Harbinger. If more drops are going to come in. And here comes a run by, but yeah, these Gaunts are just as good at defending that run by as they are the drop. Now, mags come out of the dropship, and one mag, ooh, some pretty good tramples. Actually, both of them getting good tramples, and that Gaunt force from TheoRy got cleaned up. There is one mag there, another mag coming flanking from behind, but it looks like it's going to get us surrounded and taken out as well. A few Fiends in the back getting on top of this one Gaunt and taking it out, but there's just a lot here for msrm, and that's going to be GG out of TheoRy, forcing game 3. Alright, here we are in the final match between msrm in the red Infernals and TheoRy in the blue Infernals, playing here in this loser match finals for a chance to be in the grand finals with Snockstar, who is there waiting. There was a little Hexen on Hexen violence on the way through. It was msrm's Hexen who got a few pot shots off on TheoRy's Hexen, and it looks like she didn't eat the cabbage on the way by. She's here to scout and scout only. No room for cabbage in her diet. Does the hokey pokey, dances her way home. Likewise for msrm's Hexen. Scouting phase over. Let's get creeping. Out comes a brute, and there is a farm going down in the backyard. Just tucked out here. It's a curious place for it. I really think some Fellhogs might spawn in the back or over here where they're not going to be able to do anything. So, you know, what do I know? TheoRy definitely plays this game at a much higher level than I do. And here is msrm creeping on the high ground. We see that he uses a skull on the last one to make a fiend. The goal is to capture this, but of course he got chased away here by TheoRy's units. Now, I think TheoRy was just trying to be annoying there. He didn't get a last kill. He just stole the camp, has the speed. And msrm could try and go send a fiend now, but he doesn't know if that's necessarily safe to do. Instead, he's just going to creep his health camp. Quite efficiently with a pretty good early game army now. Takes that out. And one interesting thing here, I didn't really comment too much on their opening build, but msrm did not open Shrine first this match, this particular game. And in fact, we have an earlier Shrine from TheoRy than we have, oops, sorry for the scroll bug, than we have from msrm. In this game, msrm has gone for the more aggressive build in terms of army production, and already has 2 brutes, 4 gaunts, and 3 fiends out. Whereas it's just brutes and fiends for TheoRy, and here we're going to get a little skirmish, a little interaction. These fiends getting on top of some mastiffs, and fiends getting a last kill, it looked like, and in fact stealing the rest of these mastiffs. Just from the force of the size of the army, TheoRy had to retreat and relinquish those shadow mastiffs. And we saw one scout fiend getting taken out there. And now msrm's army is big enough to kind of bully itself around the map and take some creep camps, whereas we have Theory back home maybe preparing for... Okay, so that's what I was talking about. Those Felhogs. Okay, this one makes it out, but these guys are trapped. Aw. Okay. That means they're safe, probably. Okay, some fiends trying to go up the map. I think those are just scout fiends saying, what do you really have a raid? Should I push my units in or not? A couple more gaunts coming. And I was wondering, that didn't look like the full army. This sent a few... This might be bait. This might be bait. Theory coming thinking I can take this, while the rest of the units come in here and say, oh no you can't. I'm going to trap your units here, get some free kills, maybe take out some of these gaunts. Instead we get some manual splits on those, I said gaunts but brutes. And Theory's retreating back, but I think that little flank job alone got a lot of free damage done. And here we see that Meg coming out, a Nightfall Infestation, trying to get some slow on these units so the Meg can have a good contact. And Fiend's going down, but I think that Hero Meg is just not hero enough. I don't know if he's going to be able to defend all these units. Another trample going down. Really good, actually. Getting some good hits off. Lots of low gaunts here. But the imps have turned to fight. And that's going to be the last gasp, the final breath here for Theory. And there's his GG.